Blackhead prevention usually works best when it is gentle, consistent, and realistic, because blackheads rarely come from one dramatic mistake and much more often come from a slow buildup of oil, dead skin cells, leftover product, sweat, and everyday friction around the opening of the pore over time. So the smartest goal is not to attack the skin, but to keep it calmer, cleaner, and less congested without creating fresh irritation. A simple routine is often more effective than an exciting one. Cleanse the face in the morning and again at night with a mild cleanser and lukewarm water, because very hot water can strip the skin barrier and leave the face feeling tight, dry, and more reactive. Use your fingertips rather than rough scrubs, abrasive cloths, or stiff cleansing brushes, because blackhead-prone skin usually responds better to calm handling than to aggressive rubbing. If you sweat after exercise, yard work, housework, warm weather, or a long day under sunscreen and makeup, it helps to rinse or cleanse the skin as soon as practical, because sweat mixed with oil and residue can sit on the skin and contribute to that heavy, clogged feeling. Avoid squeezing, scraping, pinching, digging, or trying to force blackheads out at home, because that often causes more redness, swelling, irritation, lingering marks, and regret than the original blackheads ever caused. Choose non-comedogenic products whenever possible, including moisturizers, sunscreen, makeup, and hair products, especially if your hair touches your forehead, temples, or cheeks. A lightweight moisturizer can help because skin that becomes too dry often becomes irritated, and irritated skin makes people impatient, and impatient people are exactly the ones most likely to stand too close to a bathroom mirror and start making decisions they would not defend the next morning. If you use over-the-counter acne care, it is usually smarter to begin slowly with one well-chosen active ingredient instead of layering several strong treatments at once. Salicylic acid may help keep pores clearer, and adapalene may help reduce clogged pores over time, but patience matters more than panic. Improvement usually comes from steady use over time, not from one dramatic weekend of treating your face like a chemistry experiment. Remove makeup before bed, change pillowcases regularly, clean the things that touch the face often, like phone screens, eyeglass frames, hat bands, and helmet straps. Keep heavier oils and styling products away from acne-prone skin when you can. Try not to rest your face in your hands for long stretches while reading, thinking, worrying, driving, scrolling, or politely listening to a story that should have ended 15 minutes ago. Stress management matters too, not because stress alone causes every blackhead, but because stress often leads to poor sleep, rushed cleansing, more face touching, more picking, skipped routines, and the kind of late-night bathroom behavior that always feels strangely productive until daylight arrives, with a very different opinion. Diet does not need to become a courtroom trial, but hydration, regular meals, moderation, and decent sleep support better daily habits overall. If blackheads are stubborn, widespread, mixed with inflamed acne, or simply not improving despite a sensible routine, professional guidance may save time and frustration. Prevention is rarely glamorous. It usually looks like repeating calm habits, reducing friction, choosing products the skin can tolerate, and remembering that steady care beats dramatic interference most of the time, and that same principle, the principle that not every small thing needs to be squeezed, overworked, or turned into a crisis, would have saved Douglas Martin Keene of Harborview Seniors Club in coastal North Carolina a tremendous amount of nonsense if anyone had explained it to him before the Saturday he accidentally captained a miniature golf team called the Sand Trap Saints and ended up giving a public speech while wearing a plastic captain's hat with a seagull sitting on the scoreboard. Douglas, known to everyone as Doug, was 78 years old, Retired from 35 years as a branch manager at a regional bank, and so devoted to order that he once arranged the spice shelf by both alphabet and probable frequency of use, just to see what civilization might feel like. He lived with his wife, Linda, in a pale blue condo overlooking a canal where herons stood around like retired judges in fishing boats, drifted past with all the self-importance of floating pickup trucks. Linda was 75, a former middle school art teacher with quick humor, bright scarves, and the relaxed confidence of a woman who had survived half a century with a man who believed extension cords should never be stored in loops that suggested moral weakness. Harborview Seniors Club was exactly the sort of place where retirees claimed they wanted peace and then filled every week with enough social activity to exhaust younger people by noon. There was cards on Monday, beach walks on Tuesday, low-impact aerobics on Wednesday, community lunch on Thursday, movie night on Friday, and once every spring the club hosted the Harborview Charity Putt-Putt Classic, a cheerful, low-stakes fundraising tournament held at the old seaside miniature golf course just past the bait shop, and 2 souvenir stores selling t-shirts no one should wear indoors. Doug hated miniature golf for the exact reason he disliked most public amusements. Too much randomness, too much fake whimsy, not enough respect for angles. Golf is already foolish, he would say over breakfast. Miniature golf is golf after a head injury. Linda loved it. She liked the ridiculous windmills, the pirate caves, the fake volcano, the little bridges over green-painted water, and most of all, the way older Americans became 10 years younger emotionally when handed a scorecard and permission to be competitive over something completely unimportant. For years, Doug had attended only as her spectator, sitting on a bench with coffee and giving entirely unnecessary comments about putting lines. "You aimed at the clown mouth like it owed you money," he'd say. Or, "That lighthouse hole is mostly theater and poor drainage." He claimed he did not care about the tournament, but Linda had noticed long ago that he always remembered last year's winning team names, point spreads, and which mechanical obstacle had malfunctioned under pressure. Doug's closest friends at Harborview were Barry Nolan, 79, retired hardware distributor, hearing aid user only when it served him socially; Marlene Price, 73, former church pianist, sharp-eyed, kind, and funny enough to get away with murder in a cardigan; and Wally Briggs, 80, widower, ex-mail carrier, owner of 6 floral shirts, and the most dangerous laugh in 3 counties. The trouble began on a damp Wednesday morning at the Harborview Coffee Social when the activities chair, a tiny hurricane of a woman named Joanne Pritchard, stood by the pastry table with a clipboard and announced that they were still 1 team short for Saturday's Putt-Putt fundraiser. Joanne was 67, a retired real estate agent with a whistle voice, a permanent suntan, and the sort of cheerful aggression usually seen in women who have run 6 bake sales and 2 daughters through pageants. "We need one more foursome," she said. "And remember, teams with funny names tend to raise more donations." Linda glanced at Doug. Doug looked away immediately, which in marriage is often an admission before the paperwork. Barry leaned toward Doug and asked too loudly, "You bringing the maps Saturday?" Doug waved one hand and said, "Sure, if somebody needs something sensible." Joanne looked up at exactly the wrong moment, saw the gesture, heard the word "sure," and pounced with the speed of a woman who had been volunteer fishing since 1989. "Wonderful, Doug. That gives us the 4th for Linda's team." The room applauded automatically, because seniors will cheer almost any misunderstanding if it solves a scheduling problem. Doug nearly dropped his coffee. "No, absolutely not. I said I could bring maps if something needed organizing." Joanne smiled without mercy. "Miniature golf absolutely needs organizing." Linda pressed her lips together to keep from laughing. Wally slapped the table and said, "This is the best thing that's happened since the crab dip disagreement," Marlene added. "I've waited years to watch Doug argue with a windmill, but Doug was already doomed. Joanne had written his name, and once a name lands on a Harborview clipboard, it becomes harder to erase than a traffic ticket." By afternoon, the whole club knew. 2 women by the mailbox asked what color polo he'd wear. The desk volunteer at the condo office said, "Heard you're competing." Barry called that evening only to say, "I assume we're practicing?" Doug told him no with such force that Barry laughed for 3 straight minutes. Linda, meanwhile, was openly delighted. "This will be good for you," she said while slicing tomatoes for dinner. "No, this will be theatrical punishment disguised as fundraising. You need more playful things. I need fewer clown mouths." "That may be true in the abstract," she said, "but it isn't helping your Saturday." The team, it turned out, would be Linda, Doug, Barry, and Marlene, which meant Doug had been placed inside the exact kind of cheerful chaos he most distrusted. Barry took nothing seriously until it became funny. Marlene took everything seriously until it became funnier. Linda took competition just seriously enough to enjoy herself. Doug took things seriously by birthright. The team met Thursday afternoon at the picnic pavilion to discuss logistics, which was Doug's wording. The others called it having lemonade and naming ourselves. Barry proposed the whole truth. Marlene proposed the 4 forefathers, which Linda pointed out had both a numerical and gender issue. Wally, who was not on the team but had arrived anyway because trouble pulled him like moonlight on tides, suggested Bogey and the Heartbreakers. Doug insisted the name was irrelevant. Joanne, walking past with raffle tickets, shouted, "Name matters for the poster board." So there they were, 4 retirees with lemonade, and no discipline trying to name a miniature golf team like it was a jazz quartet. After 17 increasingly bad suggestions, Linda said, "What about the Sand Trap Saints?" Barry grinned. "That's ridiculous," Marlene nodded. "Perfect," Doug sighed. "Fine, it's at least grammatical." Then came the shirts. Joanne wanted matching shirts for the team photo. Doug wanted neutrality. Barry wanted Hawaiian patterns. Marlene wanted something seaside without looking like a menu. Linda, who had more sense than the rest combined, bought 4 simple navy polos and 1 small pack of iron-on patches shaped like tiny golf flags. Doug claimed this was acceptable because the flag introduces modest visual discipline. Linda later told Marlene that any man who uses the phrase visual discipline about miniature golf deserves whatever happens next. On Friday, because he could not help himself, Doug drove to the course just to inspect the surface conditions. He told Linda this was not practice. Linda asked whether he often inspected surface conditions of things he refused to care about. Harbor missed mini golf, sat between a seafood shack and a souvenir store called Shelia, which told you most of what you needed to know about the local aesthetic. The course had 18 holes, each more decorative than the last: a lobster trap tunnel, a faux shipwreck, a sand dune ridge, a pirate cove, a lighthouse ramp, a bridge over green-painted water, a pelican statue, a whale mouth, a wooden fishing dock curve, a giant seashell bowl, and, at hole 14, a mechanical windmill that turned just slowly enough to insult careful people. Doug walked the course with his hands behind his back like a man reviewing battlefield topography. He measured slopes with his eyes, muttered about bank shots, and grew quieter the more he studied it. This was the first sign Linda recognized as dangerous interest. "You are practicing," she said that evening when she found a napkin on the kitchen table with arrows and numbers drawn on it. "No. Then why is hole 9 labeled deceptive?" "Because it is, Doug. The shell bowl on 12 kicks left if the humidity rises." Linda put down the dish towel and laughed. "Oh, you are in trouble. I'm just preventing public chaos." "No," she said. "You're becoming invested." Saturday dawned bright, salty, and alive, with the kind of spring weather that makes every bad public plan look briefly justified. The course was decorated with balloons and banners. A folding table near the entrance held donuts, bottled water, raffle baskets, sunscreen nobody would admit needing, and a donation jar labeled "Putt for a Purpose." Teams arrived in matching hats, bright shirts, novelty visors, and one memorable collection of tie-dye skirts that made Barry whisper, "That group has a sponsorship vibe." The harbor view field included the Sand Trap Saints, the Bogey Bells, Putt Putt for Pie, the whole enchilada, and a husband three called Sudden Death, which Doug found refreshingly honest. Joanne bustled around with a megaphone, clipboard, and entirely too much excitement for a woman near a clown-faced obstacle. "Team photo first, then scorecards, then captain check-in," she cried. "Doug, since you asked the most questions yesterday, I've made you team captain." He stared at her. "That is not how captaincy should work." Joanne handed him a plastic captain's hat from a beach party supply store. "It is now," the others howled. Linda put both hands over her mouth and failed to save any dignity at all. Marlene said, "Please wear it." Barry said, "If he doesn't, I will quit on principle." Doug held the hat between two fingers, like it might carry legal consequences. "I will not wear novelty headgear," Joanne pointed towards her banner. "Not all day, for the team photo." This was how the first crack formed. In the photo, Doug wore the plastic captain's hat for exactly 3 seconds. Yet the photo was taken, people laughed, and somehow the hat did not kill him. By the time the tournament began, the thing had become a running joke. At hole 1, Barry missed a straight 2-footer and blamed leadership. At hole 3, Marlene asked whether captains got bonus swings. At hole 5, Linda said, "Captain, the bridge shot awaits." Doug rolled his eyes, but the corners of his mouth had stopped pretending not to move. He was having fun now, which was precisely what he had feared. He crouched to read angles. He advised Barry not to hit too hard on the dock curve. He warned Marlene that the lighthouse lip was deceptive. He kept the scorecard with a seriousness wildly disproportionate to the event. And, unfortunately for his future pride, he was good. Not spectacular, but annoyingly solid. He parred holes, people doubled. He understood the bank off the shell wall. He timed the windmill blades like a man scheduling trains. By hole 9, a small gallery of spouses and eliminated teams had begun following the Sand Trap Saints because Doug's muttered observations were almost as entertaining as the game. "Too much shoulder. That ball has panic in it. If you rush the dock knows." Wally, eating a donut and carrying no responsibilities, called out, "Listen to the captain," and the crowd laughed every time. Then came hole 12, the shell bowl Doug had studied in private. Barry overshot. Marlene underhit. Linda lipped out. Doug stepped up, looked once, and sank the putt cleanly into the center cup. The little crowd clapped. Joanne, passing by with a donation sheet, shouted, "Captain Hat moment!" Before he could protest, Barry grabbed the plastic hat from the scoring table where Joanne had apparently left it in wait and plunked it onto Doug's head. The spectators cheered. Doug took it off instantly, but the damage was done. Now the whole course had a visual joke and a narrative, which are the two things older Americans need in order to turn a fundraiser into folklore. By the time they reached hole 14, the mechanical windmill, the Sand Trap Saints were unexpectedly tied for first. The tension rose. Even the people who claimed not to care now cared loudly. The windmill blades turned with slow, insulting confidence. One by one teams failed. Sudden Death took a 7 after Mr. Preson. Cooper tried a heroic trick shot and hit the support post. The Bogey Bells dissolved into group blame. Then it was the Sand Trap Saints' turn. Marlene made it through cleanly. Barry hit the blade, ricocheted backward, and accused the windmill of socialism. Linda took a graceful 3. Doug stepped up with the little crowd gathered along the rail, the plastic hat in Barry's hand, and Joanne practically vibrating near the score table. He lined up, waited, studied the blade, tapped once. The ball slipped through, banked off the inner wall, and dropped into the cup. The place erupted. Barry jammed the captain's hat back onto Doug's head before he could object. Doug, flushed and laughing against his own will, did not remove it fast enough. At that exact second, one of the beachside seagulls that haunted the course looking for dropped chips and spiritual weakness swooped down toward the donut table, missed its first target, and landed instead atop the plastic captain's hat on Doug's head as if this had been the plan all along. Silence lasted half a second. Then the course exploded. People screamed, laughing. Barry bent over. Joanne shrieked. Linda actually had to sit on the low wooden border because her knees gave out from laughing. Doug stood frozen, captain's hat on his head, seagull perched on top like an official of chaos, putter in hand, looking like the most unwilling local legend in North Carolina. The bird, to deepen the insult, did not even look startled. It simply stood there, balanced and offended, as though Doug had invited it for the photo opportunity. Someone shouted, "Now that's coastal leadership." Another yelled, "Take the picture!" Phones came out everywhere. Doug slowly turned his head and said, with the deadpan calm of a man who knows resistance is now pointless, "If anybody names this bird after me, I'm moving." The crowd lost control. The seagull finally lifted off, but the moment was permanent. Joanne declared it the greatest thing this course has ever seen, including the 2006 dolphin mascot incident. The tournament somehow continued. The Sand Trap Saints went into the final 2 holes with a lead and a following crowd. Doug, fully beyond shame now, stopped fighting the joke and started leaning into it. When Barry missed a short putt, Doug tapped the hat and said, "Leadership cannot carry all of you." When Marlene asked if the bird had chosen him spiritually, he replied, "No, it recognized weak pastry security." Even Linda, who loved him most when he finally surrendered to life's sillier turns, saw something soften in him. He still cared about the score, but he was enjoying the absurdity too, not just enduring it. They reached the final hole, a long curving shot around a fake tide pool to a cup beneath a small wooden pier. The crowd was now large enough to suggest either sporting relevance or excellent gossip. The Saints needed only a reasonable finish to win. Barry went first and achieved what can only be described as imaginative failure. Marlene recovered the moment with a clean 3. Linda nearly holed out and settled for 2. Doug stepped up last with a chance to close it. The wind off the water lifted the edge of the sponsor banner. Someone in back yelled, "Captain!" Barry raised the plastic hat. The crowd laughed. Doug took the hat, looked at it, looked at Linda, and then, very deliberately, put it on. The crowd applauded like it had just been handed dessert. He lined up the shot, the whole ridiculous little world holding still around him. He tapped the ball. It curved, kissed the inner wall, rolled under the wooden pier, circled the cup once like a bureaucrat reviewing paperwork, and dropped. The place went wild. Joanne blew the whistle she had no formal reason to own. Barry tackled Doug in a hug that was more sideways than safe. Marlene clapped above her head. Linda kissed his cheek in front of everybody because, after 50 years of marriage, she knew exactly when a man needed public celebration more than dignity. They won by 2 strokes. Joanne presented the ribbon, the donation plaque, and, for reasons no one could later explain, but everyone approved of, a little bag of saltwater taffy. "Captain Doug and the Sand Trap Saints," she announced. Doug took the plaque, still wearing the hat, and the same seagull, or perhaps another one with equal contempt, circled once overhead as though checking on management. The photo from that moment, Doug in the captain's hat, plaque in one hand, Linda laughing beside him, Barry saluting, Marlene clapping, sponsor banner flapping, and a seagull visible over his left shoulder, like an omen, was posted to the Harbor View bulletin board by evening, and to 3 family group chats before dinner. By the next morning, the story had spread through the condos, the Marina Cafe, the church breakfast line, and at least one pharmacy checkout. He was Captain Doug. He was the seagull skipper. He was that man who won mini golf under avian supervision. Wally left a plastic toy bird on his porch. Joanne suggested, only half joking, that he co-chair next year's event. Barry wore a sailor shirt to coffee and said it was in honor of leadership. Even the bait shop clerk down the road said, "Hey, Captain," when Doug came in for mints, which Doug considered unfair but not entirely unpleasant. That evening, he and Linda sat on their porch with 2 glasses of iced tea while the canal turned gold in the sunset and the fishing boats moved back toward the marina like tired thoughts. The plastic captain's hat sat on the porch table between them because Barry had shoved it into Doug's tote bag for historical preservation. Linda looked at it, then at him, and smiled. "You know what my favorite part was?" Doug sighed. "The options are dangerous." "My favorite part," she said, "was not the seagull, though that was excellent. It was the moment you stopped trying to remain respectable and started having fun." He leaned back and listened to a gull somewhere farther off arguing with the evening. "I hate when you're right," in a calm voice. "That's because it leaves you no useful drama." He smiled into the glass. "I still think the hat made me a target. The hat made you available to joy." "That sounds like something painted on driftwood." "Probably. And it would sell." They sat in companionable silence for a few breaths. Then said, "Funny thing is, once the bird landed, I started worrying." Linda turned toward him. "Yes. Because the worst thing I imagined had already happened, and it was only funny." "Exactly." He thought about that. "You know, it's not so different from skin." Linda laughed before he even finished. "Oh, absolutely not. Do not connect blackheads to mini golf and seagulls." "Why not? Same principle. Something small bothers people, so they squeeze it, scrub it, overdo it, irritate it, and turn it into more of a problem than it needed to be. Better to be gentle, steady, and stop before the whole thing gets a hat and an audience." Linda laughed so hard she had to set down her tea. "That is the most absurdly correct thing you've said in months." "Still correct," he said. "Annoyingly," she answered. "Yes. And maybe that is the real connection between blackhead prevention and the rest of ordinary life. Not every little flaw needs to be attacked. Not every irritation improves under pressure. Not every small embarrassment needs an emergency response. Sometimes the wiser answer is gentler, slower, steadier, and less dramatic. Clean what needs cleaning. Reduce the friction. Keep the routine simple. Do enough and then stop. And if the hat lands on your head, if the windmill gets moody, if the seagull chooses you for reasons known only to coastal chaos, then laugh, keep putting, and let the moment become a story instead of a wound. Doug Keane never became carefree in any saintly or permanent sense. He still distrusted novelty signage, still believed scorecards should have better pencils, and still maintained that no grown adult needed a clown-mouth obstacle on a proper course. But after the spring, he accidentally became Captain Doug of the Sand Trap Saints and discovered that public silliness did not in fact dissolve a man's worth if he survived it with humor intact. He carried his dignity a little looser, his wife's wisdom a little more gratefully, and his own urge to overmanage with much less authority than before. For a man like Doug, that was real progress, and for Harborview it was even better because it became one of those stories older Americans tell each other over pie, iced tea, folding chairs, and weak coffee, a story about marriage, miniature golf, laughter, seagulls, And the comforting truth that a person can still surprise himself long after he thinks every useful part of him has already been labeled, filed, and put away for good.